Why does it seem like everything falls apart when you start healing and you go through a spiritual awakening? Stay tuned because I'm going to talk exactly about that and why that happens based on your energy. Welcome to the Soul Alignment Mentor Podcast. I'm your host, Angie, and I'm inviting you to explore the depths of self-sabotage, limiting mindsets, and the beliefs that hinder our progress in life. Through intuitive messages I receive from my spirit team, I share profound insights to help you live authentically and break free from these limitations. Join me now as we uncover all the keys to living your best life. Welcome back. My name's Angie, and I'm your Soul Alignment Mentor, bringing you intuitive messages from the spirit to help you align with your most authentic and highest self. So if you've been through an awakening, or you are going through a spiritual awakening, or you've been on a healing journey, you may have noticed that things kind of start falling apart around you sometimes. Maybe it seems like you're losing all your friends, or the things that you used to do are not fun anymore. Or maybe you're starting to feel like there's just so much like happening, and it can be almost like whiplash. Like you're just like, what is going on with me? Maybe even in your awakening phase, you're starting to have like all these insights and understandings about the world that you didn't have before. And you're trying to process your old beliefs versus your new beliefs. And it just feels overwhelming sometimes. I want to share a little bit about why that is happening based on your energy and the frequency you hold within your body, and how that actually is happening around you as well, and why the things around you are shifting just as much as you are shifting. So the other day I was thinking about and working with my spirit team on how can I help the collective understand why things just seem to fall apart when you start going on a healing journey. Why do things seem to feel like you lose everything, or you lose all your friends, or things just start happening all the time all around you? And they gave me a really excellent insight on how to teach this. So I want you to think about yourself in the element of energy. Now, if you haven't watched some of my prior episodes, I'm going to encourage you to go back and listen to some of them where I talk about the different frequencies that we can move into. Based on that frequency, how we can handle that frequency, and how spirit kind of guides and teaches us in being able to raise our frequency and handle a higher frequency within our body, our mind, our comprehension, all that stuff. And how that correlates with us, moving us into new earth energy. So besides just shifting into new earth energy, there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens in our lives that also shift. And so one of those things is often losing people in our lives that we maybe were close to. Maybe the friends that we had, we start to notice we no longer really have anything common with them, or we start to notice that we're starting to feel a little uncomfortable with our job, or maybe not aligning with some of the values that we are around. We might have been engaging in behaviors or activities that we're starting to feel really uncomfortable doing. And if you try to do it, then you just don't feel good. Maybe you have drank alcohol most of your life, and suddenly you just don't want to do that anymore. Or maybe you have a certain food that you're no longer wanting to eat. It's just all kinds of things that can be happening when you're going through this awakening. So when you think about how things shift as far as energy and our vibration, the energy and vibration that we have a frequency at is based on who we are at the moment, what we believe, what we feel, how we manifest into the world. All that is related to our current vibration, the vibration and frequency that we are currently at. And so if you think about some of the things that we've been through in our lives, if you've been through anything hard in your life, if you grew up in any kind of trauma, if you had any instability or anything really, there's a lot of my clients will come to me and be like, I didn't have any trauma. And then we dig a little deeper and simply being bullied on the playground once or twice, or you being the bully. There's all kinds of things that could be trauma. Even going through a really bad storm could cause trauma in your life. And so there's these moments in time throughout our life, particularly through the time that we're born to about age 21, I would say, where there's a whole bunch of things being placed into our understanding that is shaping our identity. And we begin to believe that the things that we're learning about ourselves and the world around us is who we are. It is creating the belief of the identity that we project into the world. And so when you shift out of that and you start coming into your awakening, you start looking at those old things and thinking, wait, that's not true. That's not who I am. That's not who I want to be. And so you have a choice at that moment to continue in the same timeline or the same frequency and vibration that you have been, or shift into a new frequency and a vibration. And that is why anyone that goes through a true spiritual healing will actually also go through a very deep healing process. They go hand in hand. You cannot awaken without healing as well. And so all the experiences that you've had in your life, whether they were positive or negative, at some point you probably brought in beliefs of fear, beliefs of shame, maybe guilt, grief, all these energies that feel pretty bad and negative. And on the frequency scale, if you look at the emotional scale of frequency, these are low vibe energies. If you've heard of people talking about, I don't want to be around that, that's low vibe, that is true. So we are radiating at a certain frequency based on the vibration of energy we hold within us. And that energy is based on the emotions, beliefs, and the programming that we've had throughout our life. So if you think about the ocean, and when you go or if you've never been to the ocean, maybe a lake, and it's not a very windy day and the waves are pretty calm, and they're just kind of moving throughout. They're not making much of a rift. They're not causing much chaos with the water. They're not really changing the shore even, or moving things on the shore. So if you think about this kind of smooth surface. Now, here's the difference between the smoothness of that water and our emotions. That low tide, the low waves are actually a representation of a low frequency. So when we're vibrating in shame or guilt or fear or anxiety or depression or anything else that is keeping us from being in our highest self or believing in our highest self, we are vibrating at a very low frequency. And that's kind of how those waves are when it's very barely moving, when they're just kind of coming in and out, and you're just like, it doesn't really impact or affect anything. But when you start to heal, when you start to have awakening, you will notice that it feels like things really start to shake. And what is happening are those waves are starting to get a little bigger and a little bigger and a little bigger. And those waves are going to start clearing out and shaking up everything in your life. And that is because in order for you to heal and to ascend and to grow in your frequency, you must move out all those lower waves, the low vibration, and move into a higher frequency. Now, that high frequency does not feel very easy when it first starts. And you are not really sure how to handle that, because once you start opening up that field of frequency and you start raising your vibration and you start letting go of things and really truly looking in the mirror and healing parts of you that have been a part of your identity for all your life, it is rough. It means that you spend a lot of time crying. You spend a lot of time thinking about things that you maybe don't want to think about. Maybe memories that you had repressed or you didn't even have any idea happened to you in your childhood. Maybe you start to heal and then flashbacks start coming back, kind of like what I went through when I went through my healing journey. There's all kinds of things that can happen. And so as you're going through that and you're releasing those smaller low vibration energies, the waves are getting bigger and they're starting to shift things and expose things and and show up in your life in ways that you hadn't experienced before. So it is going to feel a little rough because that's what happens when you get into the big waves. Now, if you've never learned to surf, you've never learned to be in that vibration, you're going to have to take some time to learn how to be in that energy in order to maintain it. Or you're going to go right back into that low frequency where you know that you already have been able to exist, where your identity has already been created. And this is why healing is really hard. And if you've gone through a true awakening, that you will continue to work through it even when it does get hard. Now, once you start to release some of these lower vibration energies, it doesn't mean they just completely go away. It means that they're not as noticeable because those higher frequencies and the higher waves become even more noticeable than those. So you start to feel a little bit more confident. You start to feel a little bit more awakened in your knowledge of the world, of yourself. You start to realize you're a spiritual being. You start to have all these things happening in your life, but it feels really rough still, because then you start to notice everything around you is changing too. That you're losing these relationships and friends, that you're feeling uncomfortable around people that you once felt comfortable around, that you're not wanting to really want to engage in some of the things that you engaged in. And so all these things start to shift and change. And that is because that wave is pulling you up out of that low vibration that you once were, and that thing that you were engaging in, or were those relationships you were engaging in, were at that low vibration that cannot exist in the same frequency. So if you think about the waves of the ocean, when the waves start to increase, the smaller waves cannot exist in that. So we are actually starting to shift into a higher frequency. And then what our job is at this point is to just keep going with it, to trust it, to be still. Many times we have been taught to fight these waves or to work against them. But the best thing you can do when you start to see the shifts happening is to trust it. And the way you trust it is beginning to turn inward and believe that all things are working out for your highest good, that you are a spiritual being that is capable of manifesting good, to be still in your own energy. The more still you are, the easier it becomes to ride those waves and that higher vibration that you are coming into. Now, what happens when you get a high tide and high waves in the ocean or in the water of any kind? It will start to clear things out. Things have to move. They don't necessarily have to move in a low wave vibration, but once you get into the higher, it has to. And then as you are continuing in your awakening into your healing, those waves are going to become bigger and bigger. And eventually, what you're going to learn to do is ride the waves and understand there might be dips in there. There might be moments in time where you feel the way you maybe were prior to your healing, prior to your awakening. And I hear this all the time from my clients, like, I'm going backwards. I'm struggling again with this. This thing happened again and I failed this test, whatever it might be. It's not that you're failing. It's not that you're going backwards. It's a ride. It's a wave. So just like the yin and yang and light and darkness, we are a human. And we are going to have low tides and high tides. We're going to go up and down in our frequency. But the more we do that, the more we trust the wave, the more still we are, and the more we move along, those waves become a little bit easier to ride. And the lower ones don't go as low as they used to. They might dip down a little bit, but then you'll notice it and you'll just be still and be like, I already know. I'm going to make it through this. So you come through things much quicker. And before you know it, you're overcoming things. You're no longer being influenced or impacted by the negative things that are going on in your life. And you have a realization that things will always turn out for the best. I just have to ride through this wave, get back into my high frequency, and trust that everything is working out for me in my highest good. So this is why it feels pretty rough when you're going through this awakening process, when you're going through the healing, because those frequencies of your energy are changing. Now, think of it as far as your own body and energetic field in your chakra system. When you're clearing out dense, dark energy and low vibe beliefs, emotions, and all that in your chakras, and you're opening them up and clearing them out, You have not been in that place before. And so it's going to feel different. It's going to feel a little unbalanced at times. And so that frequency that you're sending out from your own body, that vibration had been at that low frequency of whatever it is that you were holding in. And now it's changing. And so that is why you start to see things all around you start to shift. And this is why we have to trust the process of believing the best, even when it comes to our friendships, our relationships, our jobs, all this. And knowing that as you start to trust yourself more and more and more, and you start to allow yourself to ride the waves, and as you continue to grow in your ability to manifest and to work with that energy and control your vibration and to not go back into those lower frequencies as often, you start to realize that when you're in the high vibration, you attract high vibration back to you. And when you're in low vibration, you attract low vibrations back to you. And this is where you get to the point where you can start manifesting positive new experiences into your life. You can start manifesting the abundance or the relationships that are more aligned with you in your awakened phase and in your understanding of yourself as a divine being, as a spiritual being living a human life. And so the waves and learning to ride them and being still within them is one of the most important things that you can do on this journey of healing and awakening, is to allow yourself to trust the process of that shift into the different wavelengths and that vibration shifting and changing and raising in your frequency so that you can begin to trust yourself more. You can begin to see how you can manifest a life around you, and you can believe in your higher self guiding you in the right direction for your life. If this is something that you're really interested in learning and doing, and you would like some support and help with that, I do have some openings currently for one-on-one support, and you are more than welcome to email me or reach out to me on my website, angieharris.org, and we can have a chat about how I can help you work through your awakening and healing process and understand your energy and how to balance that and not dip so low into those lower frequencies so often. Until we meet again, I wish you the best day, night, evening, whatever time it is for you. Namaste.